You'll be glad you saw this. It's not often that we see Bill Maher lash out the way that you're about to see. That is what happened when Candace Owens questioned Bill's fascination with Donald Trump and how it impacted his professional persona. But I think this clip reveals a deeper insecurity brewing in Bill Maher that Candace Owens just poked at, and it relates to many more things about the media's relationship with Donald Trump that we need to talk about. Just watch this clip before we dive into it.
He's not on trial for lying. You're apparently allowed to lie to the American people about elections, even though nobody ever really did that before. But okay, he's on trial for breaking specific laws.
The thing that I'm trying to get you to say, though, we know that you hate Trump. That has been abundantly obvious.
Yes,
I actually
we do.
think that Trump out of office
For good reason.
was a good thing for your show because it allowed you to.
It's not about my show, Candace.
No.
That's insulting.
No.
That's insulting.
I'm saying because people that
Can we
weren't
just-
watching your show, that you didn't let me finish. You can't be insulted by a sentence I didn't finish.
No, but you keep
I was going to
implying
say
that
that people that did not watch your show because there was so much dedication to talking about Trump during those years, then were switched onto your show because you moved on and you started talking about other topics that were crucial and I think brought in more of a conservative base.
Do you sense an air of defensiveness in Bill Maher? I mean, sure, Donald Trump himself has a history of friction with who he calls low ratings dummy, but how long can that theme really be interesting for the audience? I think in different ways the rise of Donald Trump was actually a godsend for much of the mainstream media, whether by a segment catering to Trump's base by fawning over him, or by taking a battling position against him to rile up controversies. Someone like Bill Maher for long stood firmly on the latter camp, but if you're Bill Maher and the audience has been seeing you at least since the 90s, you have to know that every formula eventually expires. And it's good that Bill Maher finally seems to be shedding that formula, though it seems to have struck a nerve when Candace mentioned it. Not just that, some people in the last few years, especially after the pandemic, have even questioned whether Bill might actually be gradually stepping back from the left of the political line. Maybe that is what's rising Bill Maher's star once again in the media, as his platform moves away from being a left-wing echo chamber to a more serious platform for political debate. How many other mainstream media platforms can you remember having on people like Ben Shapiro, Russell Brand, and Jordan Peterson on one end, to people like Joy Reid and AOC on the other? So in that sense, it's actually a compliment to Bill Maher if he took it that way, because everyone on both the left and right knows that there's something that makes Bill Maher different from most other hosts and comedians. He's often claimed by both ends of the political spectrum, and acts like the bridge that joins the two. In fact, it may even be this increased bipartisan viewership that finally made a network like CNN give him a slot for his overtime segment after realizing that Bill Maher may be the vital bridge that they need to bring in more audience members.
Can we just have this professional courtesy that I concede and I believe you believe everything you say.
Yeah.
Give me the same courtesy.
I said I believe you hate Trump. And
well,
I
you're
said,
saying I'm doing things for ratings or to bring in a different audience.
I didn't even bring up ratings.
I never do anything.
I actually believe that literally amongst my audiences, more conservatives started watching you post-Trump.
Yes.
Myself included.
But that's a big...
I'm sorry I said you got a bigger audience now. My gosh, you're going to cry yourself to sleep. More people like me.
No. You ascribed a reason to it that's not true. I do have a bigger conservative audience and a less woke audience, probably. More people who are common sense centrist. Good, fine. I didn't do it for that reason.
I never said you did it for that reason. I said I did not imply that.
Okay, fine.
I didn't. I genuinely meant what I said.
Okay.
And it's a perfectly valid observation. Bill's platform over the years has shown the kind of fluctuations you would expect. Sure, part of it is the changing media landscape that has affected everyone, but it's hard not to see Bill himself as a cause for it. For example, remember the controversy back in 2017 where he used the N-word on air, leading to a threat of suspension that forced him to offer a public apology? That was perhaps a moment that would have been the death knell in his career if he hadn't been able to bounce back from it. Yet he did, and it happened because Bill Maher was already branching out his platform by starting to poke fun at how far the modern left was going with things like the BLM movement and the trans debate around children. In other words, Maher actually distinguished between what a true liberal is versus someone who is woke, saying that he attracts the liberal crowd, but not necessarily the woke. Do you see how this almost lands him in the center of the modern political spectrum, considering just how far the Overton window has shifted to the left? In that sense, what Candace just said really is more of a compliment than a jibe.
Say what I really
think. When Trump
think.
got out of office, you started focusing on different topics other than Trump. And people were able to see that,
well, he wasn't president anymore, of course.
I'm not faulting you. I'm just making a comment that I think that your audience base has gotten a lot bigger since Trump left office. Some people might even take that as a compliment.
Different.
Crazy, but some people might take this as a compliment.
Thank you. Well, for that part, yeah.
Yeah, because you're talking about, like we just talked about, like, trans kids and bringing up geography and things. And I think that while Trump was in office, and this is not just your show, it was even my show, I think everything was about Trump. Everything was about Trump.
I agree.
Right? And it's never been that way for any other president. And not everything was about Obama.
Other presidents weren't a nut like that.
I truly think that's the heart of it. You can disagree with Bill Maher, calling Trump a nut job, but it's clear that Donald Trump as a political character was very different. He rose from within the Republican Party and changed it from the inside out. And in doing so, he forever altered his relationship with the media as well. It was almost like journalists or channels that were failing to retain audiences finally found someone divisive enough to lend them some relevance once again. It was platforms like MSNBC on one end, Fox News on the other, both focused on the towering political figure of Donald Trump to funnel viewers to their channel using him. But there was a problem with that. It didn't take long for that to become boring for the American people. Add to this the fact that people had a new flourishing of alternative media platforms to choose from, and legacy media shows had no other option but to smarten up and compete if they wanted to survive. That's what Bill Maher did after Donald Trump's presidency ended, and it worked out well for him.
We have definitely, I believe that and we can disagree on this. I think that from the second he announced that he was coming down, there was a media obsession with taking him down like I've never seen. It actually woke me up. I was on the liberal side and it turned me into a conservative. It was vicious. It was nasty. It was calling him things that he wasn't. You didn't participate in that, but pretending that Trump was like a avowed racist that was trying to bring back the Klansmen was a little bit like dramatic,
But that happens with every president and everybody who gets that high up in the tree. When I don't know how far back it goes, probably to George Washington, when a person is the one who's going to be in power, the people who want to prevent that, who think oppositely of how he thinks or she thinks, yes, that's what they do.
That's why I say Donald Trump's testy relationship with the media was not one-sided, because both fed off each other in making the other out as a villain. There hasn't been a politician like this in a very long time to have such a strong and lasting impact on the media industry entirely, but maybe this brief spat with Candace Owens reveals a degree of insecurity that Bill Maher may still have, knowing that he can't remain as relevant as he has been in the past. And that means he needs to reach out, diversify his audience, and be willing to reach across the aisle, even if he vehemently disagrees with them. It's true that this has accelerated now after Donald Trump has taken the backseat of American politics for 4 years, but it's at least a sign of where he needs to take his career now. If anything, Candace Owens' remark is a reminder and a compliment rather than an insult, because she just showed Bill Maher the kind of trust deficit that modern America feels with traditional media. And if he wants to capitalize on this opportunity, well, he'll have to open himself up to people and ideas that he never thought he would.